Hello, I'm Ammon, and today I'm going to show you how to put a phone screen on a phone when the screen is not actually there. So the first thing you want to do with your original footage is create a mask around the phone using some rotoscoping. You want to start at a place where the hands cover most of the screen because it's going to be the most detailed roto, and then from there you pretty much just move the points around so that the screen is always going to be masked, all of it, but the fingers and part of the hand are going to not be masked. So again, you want to start somewhere in the middle where, again, the finger and the thumb up here is covering most, and then about every other frame you're going to want to go in and just keep changing the positions. As you can see here, there's a bit slight movement. On more advanced rotos, you want to avoid that, but since this is a simple roto, I was able to get away with it. I could also have just rotoed out the finger and then had a mask around the phone. However, since the phone is just a straight up rectangle, it's okay because it was much easier to just put them all in the line once the finger was not in front of the phone. So the screen that we want on our phone is this, which is just a standard phone background with a logo button of what we're going to have, our Purdue map app, and then once it gets opened it just turns to a blank screen, and then a Google Maps like map appears up, and it'll have like the blue direction arrow on where to go from where you are. So once the masks are in place, we're going to want to make a copy of that footage. We're going to want the bottom layer to have the masks just be adding, so basically the rotos won't do anything, but then the top layer we are going to want to subtract the mask around the phone, and with these two layers right on top of each other, that won't make a difference. However, we are going to put the phone screen in between, and then we're going to also have the corners of the phone screen match the corners of the phone. So normally a decent, tracking, just track each corner of the phone and then just pin the corners of the phone screen to those trackers would be ideal. However, when you go in and you try to track one of these corners, doesn't matter how big or small you make, these trackers, when you go to analyze it, it just jumps. And, you can get pretty close, however, you can't really get something close enough, and if you were to use these trackers, your phone screen would be jumping all over the place inside your phone, and it would just obviously look fake. And it does this on all the corners, and mostly it's just because the color of these pixels are just too close for the tracker to differentiate. So the tracker in After Effects doesn't really work. If you have Mocha, perhaps it will. However, I was not able to acquire a copy of Mocha for this, so I did it the old-fashioned way, which is a bit tedious. However, it produced the quality results that I wanted. So what I'm gonna do is what I did anyway was I grabbed the copy of the phone screen that we used, which, as you can see, it's just very big, and you can kind of get it down to size. You also want to make sure it's in between your two original shots. So here, when it is, obviously it's going to be within that mask. Anything else, it just doesn't show up, which actually does help as a good guideline when you do get the corners right with the phone. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go up to Effect, Distort, Corner Pin. And then from here, you can grab each corner, and it distorts the footage, so then you can put a corner of the footage on each corner of the phone. And again, with the masking, you kind of gotta have to go every other frame and readjust it each time. However, since there's only 4 corners, that actually does not take as long as you think. It takes maybe 5-10 minutes to do. And you don't have to necessarily be perfectly accurate, because as you can see, there is a bit of a dark line from where like this actual phone screen is and where the like just glass plate of the phone is. So you'd want to get it as close to like the black edge without going over. However, since it's, this is very zoomed in, you don't have to be completely accurate. However, you do have to be consistent. Like, so if you're going to have it here on this frame, you have to do that on all the frames. Otherwise, it's very obvious that the screen is not there, and it just continues to distort the image itself. Like your app logo will change size every once in a while, and it's just very shaky. So as long as you are consistent on where you're putting these points on the frames that you're going to put them on, that is what matters. So once you have all of your corners pinned to the corners of your mask, or as close as you can, and it has to be really close, because if you're off by even a little bit, it is really obvious, you will get something like this. Which, again, a little shaky, but seeing that this is not in real time, you can't even tell the difference. Like that. However, you can still kind of see a little bit around her finger once the map comes on a little dark line. You could go back in and redo the mask. However, phone screens don't look like that in general anyway. As you can see up here, there's a bit of reflection of the background, same as the bottom, and the phone would have that too. Even if there is something on the screen, it's not going to be so bright that the reflections aren't going to be seen. So what you would want to do, I also had to make 2 copies of this screen just because the duration of it wasn't quite long enough for this shot. It was a little off on the timing, so I just made a duplicate and then just extended that beginning shot of the Purdue logo. But what you'd want to do is you want to go in here to the opacity and change it to 60. And you're going to want to do that for both of them, obviously. And when you do that, you still get a little bit reflection, and it looks much more like a phone screen. And again, the mask there is not nearly as obvious. So that's how you create a screen on a phone that isn't actually there. And I hope that this tutorial was helpful and useful, and hopefully that you can one day apply this to some project of your own.